So a few weeks ago I did a Slipknot ranking and I ranked this album at number 5 out of 6 albums. Despite the low ranking, I still like it a lot. I think it's a very good since it is celebrating 20 years today. So let me talk about it. The name of the album is Iowa by the band Slipknot. Released on August 28th, 2001 on Roadrunner Records. Produced by Ross Robinson and Slipknot. But before I begin, if you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. And please stay until the end where I will talk about what I have planned for the upcoming week. So Slipknot is a very big band. There are 9 members. They number themselves from 0 to 8. So number 0 is Sid Welston on turntables. Number 1 is the late Joey Jordison on drums. Number 2 is the late Paul Gray on bass. Number 3 is Chris Fenn on percussion and backing vocals. Number 4 is Jim Root on guitars. Number 5 is Craig Jones on samples. Number 6 is Sean Crahan on percussion, vocals, and editing. Number 7 is Mick Thompson on guitars. Number 8 is Corey Taylor on vocals. Very big band. So the album cover is pretty cool. It's a photograph of a goat, kind of both like a symbol of like the rural areas of their home state, as well as a symbol commonly used in like heavy metal music. There's an alternate version of the cover. I'll like stick it right there. And they also released a 10th anniversary edition with an extra live album and a short documentary and music video DVD. There's an image of that right now over there, and I'm not sure if there will be in another edition. I don't think there will be. So the album was produced in Los Angeles with Ross Robinson. The recording process was very difficult. Not only were they under pressure to follow up on their debut album, they were also kind of living the rock and roll lifestyle. Lots of substance abuse going on. Corey Taylor had a serious alcohol addiction at that point, and the other members doing a lot of drugs. The band was not really getting along with their producer, and he also had like a dirt bike accident at one point, and that kind of all culminated into this very like dark and heavy album. So the album is often considered the band's heaviest album to date. They do incorporate a lot of melody into the album as well. The lyrics include a lot of dark themes such as misanthropy, philosophical themes, disgust, anger, disaffection, psychosis, and one of the most recurring themes used by Slipknot, which is rejection. Corey Taylor's on vocals, uses a lot of different vocal styles. His heavy and aggressive vocals are used throughout the album. Most notably on songs like People Equal Shit and Disasterpiece. Those are 2 of my favorites. There's a little bit of rap on My Plague, Everything Ends, and the Heretic Anthem. But there are also some like melodic vocals on a few songs, such as Left Behind and The Shape. Most of the time when the vocals are harsh, you still like understand all the lyrics. The guitars are very heavy. They're tuned down. A lot of the riffs are reminiscent of nu metal bands like Korn. So songs like People Equal Shit, Disasterpiece, My Plague, and The Shape, they all have like this like nu metal sound. There's also a lot of death metal riffs and fast tremolo picking used on songs like Disasterpiece, The Heretic Anthem, and Left Behind. I also hear some punk rock influence on songs like Everything Ends and Left Behind, and a little bit of like alternative metal on a song like Gently. Some feedback and echo effects on a song like Left Behind, and there's also some thrash metal. Songs like Metabolic, Disasterpiece, and Everything Ends do have a little bit of that influence. And the song My Plague and The Shape do have some like fast and technical riffing as well. Paul Gray is on bass, and he uses a very like thick, like distorted bass tone. Most of the time he kind of helps provide a thicker sound, like just adding to the main riffs, but his bass can be heard on the intro to the song Gently. The song Skin Ticket does have the bass sound like throughout, and there's also the 15-minute song, which is the closer, called Iowa, and you can hear his bass throughout that song as well, and that song actually reminds me of the band Tool a little bit. So on this, Joey Jordison is on drums. His drumming is fast and aggressive. He uses a lot of blast beats on songs like People Equal Shit, Disasterpiece, The Heretic Anthem, and Gently. And he also uses a drumming style on the song Iowa that is kind of reminiscent of like doom metal, since that is like a slower, longer track. And the song Disasterpiece does have some like industrial metal drumming as well. Now, although this album has a lot less of a hip-hop sound than their debut album, there are still some like turntable scratches like sprinkled throughout the album, most notably on songs like I Am Hated, New Abortion, and Metabolic. There are also sound samples used throughout the album. For example, the opening track 515, that's actually named after the area code of the band's hometown. It's a 1-minute instrumental that has lots of sounds of like machinery and torture. So in conclusion, I thought it was a very good album. It's probably their heaviest and darkest album. They do incorporate some melody into some of the songs, but I think that they use like more melody on some of the more like subsequent albums. This album doesn't have that much of a hip-hop influence. For example, their debut album was mostly like rap metal, but I think this one they focus more on like the heaviness and the death metal. I think if you heard like the recent Slaughter to Prevail album, you will notice that they did draw a lot of influence from this particular album. I like the fact that the songs are fast-paced, and there's even a little bit of like punk and thrash metal on here as well. Overall, very good album. I will give it a score of an 8 out of 10. Let me know in the comment section what you thought of the album. So let's talk about it. Coming up next week, I will be doing the top 10 Foo Fighters songs with AYB Main. Then I will be counting down to the release of Senjutsu by Iron Maiden. I'll probably review it on Saturday morning, and hopefully I will be able to get my physical copy if my record store comes through for me. In the meantime, I will be continuing my series of the Iron Maiden albums in descending order. So hopefully I can cover No Prayer for the Dying, Seventh Son of a Seventh Son, Somewhere in Time, and Power Slave throughout the week. That is it. Like, comment, subscribe. This is JC Rock and Metal Reviews. My name is John. Check out some of the other videos. Here's my Slipknot ranking, and I'll put that right there. And here's something else that of a heavy metal nature. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.